Hey folks, Jeff Landfield here, currently above the Alaska Range, headed to Fairbanks. We're profiling the District B race, Senate B, which is really one of the main races this year in the Senate races. It's an open seat. Senator John Coghill lost barely to Rob Myers in the primary, and now there's 3 folks running for an open seat. So we're going to go up there and profile that race. This race has a lot of interesting dynamics. It's a 3-way with no Democratic candidate in the race. We went to go talk with Evan Eads first, one of the independents in the race. And right when we met him,
why are there 2 moderates running against 1 right-wing nut?
this voter had a lot of thoughts about him.
Like you and Sanford seem to be pretty moderate. And then we've got the other guy who's the opposite of that, right? I lived in Maine for a while. We had a problem there. We had a 3-way governor race twice. Yep. And what happened is we ended up with 35% of the vote going to LePage? Yeah, LePage. Horrible man. But he wins with 35% of the vote twice.
Well,
it seems like this is what we're setting up for in Fairbanks, you know?
What I think that my message can resonate across party lines. Because the Constitution, Article 8, Section 2, says that all the resources belong to the people for their maximum benefit.
Right, we understand that.
Right, and so...
Do you think Coghill voters are going to go to a moderate instead of the extreme right wing? If we had one of you guys running against him, I think there'd be a real solid shot.
This went on for some time. And while normally we jump right into the interview with Eads, this organic moment articulated something we encountered a lot during this piece: the fear of a spoiler.
So yes, they did. I was approached by people from both sides of the aisle, and people I respect on both sides of the aisle, actually, and gave me their pitch as to why, and I seriously considered it. But at the end of the day, I didn't see anyone who was advocating for what I am advocating for, which is an ownership share of our resources. That is the central issue of this whole campaign.
Unlike his opponents, Eads is a yes vote on ballot measure 1, which could end up being a toss-up in the district.
So they are going to look out for their shareholders, and they should. But to me, I would like to see my representatives, the representatives of the people of Alaska, the shareholders of Alaska, represent the people in the exact same manner. And I don't see that happening. I see people who have sold out to industry. And that is another reason why I have taken a yes on 1 stance. Now, you won't find another candidate in the interior who's willing to do that.
Eads' yes on 1 stance, as well as a firm opposition to Senator Coghill's SB 91, gives him a viable path to victory. He also has a secret weapon. His twin daughters are a big part of his campaign.
Little businesses.
Can I have this? How much is it? You always got to make sure.
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah. We do have it for free.
Wow, okay, well make sure to charge most people, but not me.
Yeah.
It looks like his race is in good hands. And after a quick stop at one of District B's best restaurants, my God, it was time to meet up with Marna Sanford.
I think my experience is super helpful, and I would definitely encourage people who are seeking office to spend some time in local government. I think that's a great place to start.
Marna Sanford is on the Borough Assembly, works for the Tanana Chiefs, and like Evan Eads, is running as a petition independent in this race.
And I've got a lot of Democrat supporters for sure. I definitely consider myself to be progressive on a lot of issues, but for maybe one person, I am the most fiscally conservative person on the Borough Assembly. I'm the only one who's proposed cuts. I'm the only one who has done my homework. And when you compare me to Evan Eads, my experience is, I just don't think there's a comparison.
Marna's only real message that I can tell is Alaska needs action. What that action is unclear. She's a social justice person, and that's fine.
But even as a progressive, in many ways, Sanford's the establishment candidate in this race, because she's raised the most money. In fact, if you look at how much she's raised here, it's more than 3 times what her opponents have raised combined.
I'm working really hard. I'm on the phone every night. I'm meeting with people. I'm assuaging their fears if they think that I'm scary or crazy.
Marna has a connection with the community that goes back to when her mom attended UAF.
My mom went to the university in 1963. She was the dam from Wickersham. She was like she was like a little queen of the university or whatever. It's part of what makes Fairbanks special.
And the district where these candidates are running is special in its own right. We went over to talk to Grier Hopkins, who represents half of it in the State House, to understand where exactly we are.
It's a pretty silly district when it comes to how it's put together. If you look at the district on a map, it literally goes blue to red going left to right. So you start out in Esther, and it's the most progressive, wonderful part of the district. And you go Goldstream, Farmers Loop, and then Birch Hill and Fox in my part of the district. And as you move across the district, it gets more conservative. So left to right, east to west, more conservative.
Grier has represented District 4 for the last 2 years, during which time he got married. He has a long history in Fairbanks and has been watching this race closely. So how do you think it's going to play out in this race?
If I had a crystal ball, I'd be a rich man. I don't know. It's interesting. You know, Eads is getting his signs up. Marna has the name recognition from being on the assembly and a good record on there. Myers now is, getting a lot of support from the Republican Party, doing fundraisers down in the Mat-Su.
As much help as it was to get a representative's perspective, it had been a long day of interviewing candidates and the sun was going down. We would have to start fresh the next day. We met Myers the next morning north of Fairbanks off the old Stees Highway by the Alaska Pipeline. Myers surprised many politicos in the state when he took down Senator Coghill, who has served in the legislature for more than 2 decades.
More of a stealth campaign here. I raised all of $7,000 for the primary, and still won, I know.
Myers may be the most traditional candidate in the race, given that he's the only one openly affiliated with a political party.
It is really a strange one. If you look at me, of course, I'm the Republican candidate, so I get the party backing and stuff. And if you look at the district overall, it does lean Republican slightly, not a huge amount.
Myers has a huge advantage in that regard, being a Republican candidate in a Republican district. But his opponents think that he's just too far right for the district.
He actually said to me that there isn't a single budget cut that could come before him that he wouldn't approve of.
Myers' approach to cutting every single thing but for cops, courts, and corrections, which is what he states on his website, is not going to appeal to some Republicans.
If you look at Marna, you take a look at who's supporting her. She's got a lot of Democrats showing up at her fundraisers. She's got a lot of Democrat money, even out-of-state Democrat money. And then you look at Evan and kind of wonder what he's up to. He's a nice guy. I've had a couple conversations with him. But he's got no backing, and he's taking some positions that seem almost calculated to make both sides mad.
While Myers hasn't raised as much money as Sanford, he says he's been door knocking hard for months, getting his message out.
And just talk about where I'm from, and then talk about the issues that are important to me. The PFD, the budget, actually getting what we are supposed to be getting out of the state instead of watching a lot of money go down the hole, it seems like.
Myers ran because he wasn't a fan of the more moderate positions Coghill had taken down in Juneau.
If you look at how things went the last 2 years, you basically had 3 factions. You had your centrist Republicans, your Democrats, and your conservative Republicans. Well, the centrist Republicans are the ones that have taken the hit throughout the primary.
Myers is a truck driver and actually had to head up the haul road to Prudhoe before the primary results were finalized.
I'm a truck driver. Yep, I head up and down this road all the time. I'm actually supposed to be heading up to Prudhoe sometime this afternoon once we're done here.
While Rob headed to Prudhoe, we headed to meet Senator Coghill at Creamer's Field, a migratory waterfowl refuge and popular recreation area in Fairbanks.
14 votes. It was a pretty, and a small percentage, about 22% of the people voted. So 11% got to pick who would run in the Republican primary. So it's not exactly what I'd call a overwhelming unanimous vote.
Senator Coghill, who was elected to the legislature in 1998, has mixed feelings about the candidates.
And I don't think they fit the district that well, all of them. And I think the Republican primary fit the North Pole district probably better, but not both districts. Now, Eads was a Democrat. In fact, he was, if I remember correctly, he was actually a delegate to the Democrat convention here a couple years ago. So he has been a Democrat and probably has some kind of interesting libertarian leanings, like most of us do up here. We're pretty independent lot up here. Marna, as far as I know, has not been a Democrat. She is truly an independent, and it'll be interesting to see how she formulates her message. I haven't seen that, and I told Rob, you go out. The platform is yours now. I am not going to get in the middle of it. You got to go make your voice known, your views, and I'm pretty much staying out of it.
Coghill ended up losing his primary by 14 votes with more than $30,000 left in his campaign account. But Coghill knows what it takes to campaign and win a general election as a Republican.
I haven't heard any radio ads. I haven't seen anything in print yet. I've seen a little bit on Facebook. But he's got to get a message out that's cohesive to the district. And same with Marna. The one that's most aggressive in my mind at this point is Eads. He's aggressive with signs, but he's not real clear in his message yet. So those people have to be able to formulate that message.
For now, it looks like Senator Coghill's message is going to be silence as he waits to decide whether or not he will endorse anyone in this race. Though we couldn't wait around to find out. We had a plane to catch. Hey folks, want to thank Senator Coghill for that interview. We're at the Fairbanks Airport, about to fly back to Anchorage. And when I came down here, I had a preconceived notion about how this race looked. And let me tell you, after being here for 2 days and talking to the candidates and talking to folks in Fairbanks, it's nothing like I thought. Each one of these candidates has a unique and viable path to victory. The question is, who can best capitalize on their positions to get out their message to win the race? Your guess is as good as ours. Let us know what you think in the comments below. This has been Jeff Landfield from Fairbanks, Alaska. Thanks for watching. These kind of projects take a lot of time and money to make. If you enjoy content like this, please donate to the Landmine so we can make more. Thank you.